Hello and welcome. This is Casey, and today I'm going to be showing you how I would go about creating a custom botanical formula based on someone's iris. So this formula will be an all-encompassing, all systems detoxification and healing formula, and as with all detox formulas, we will be especially addressing the health and filtration capacity of the kidneys as well as the lymphatic system. So along with that, I'm going to show you how I would put this together based on what I'm seeing. So we know that if you've been watching this series on the heart, we're finishing this up with this video. And so if you have been watching this, you know that this iris in particular does show a rather large lacuna indicating weakness in the heart area. And then specifically, we have also weakness indicated in the aorta. So right away, I'm going to be looking for cardiotonic herbs. And that will make up a good emphasis of this formula. So it will be cardiotonic, as well as we are looking for, based on what we're seeing in the kidney and adrenal gland. We're also going to be looking for kidney tonic, as well as adrenal gland tonic properties. So we are going to be addressing the entire endocrine system, and we can see also related to the endocrine system, we have some weakness showing up in the head and brain area, specifically in the pituitary gland, as well as the pineal gland. So we're going to be choosing plants that are specifically suited to and matching the frequency of those glands. So we're going to be looking at, let's go ahead and jump into some of these plants. So for the cardiotonic properties, we have hawthorn, as well as rose. And also we do have astragalus, that is primarily a lymphatic cleanser, but it is also a heart tonic. So with the hawthorn, I would add the hawthorn berries to this formula. And hawthorn, along with the rose, which is also a cardiotonic, are going to be perfectly sufficient to be addressing the weakness that we're seeing in the heart. And then we also have, along with these two, we also have tilia or linden. So as an added bonus, because I'm seeing these nerve rings and we're seeing a hypo state of functioning within the endocrine system, especially in the adrenal glands and of course the pineal and the pituitary, I want to be addressing any kind of possible anxiety and also promoting a feeling of upliftment. And linden, as well as rose, will contribute some antidepressant or uplifting qualities to the formula. So in terms of the kidney tonic, we're mainly looking at the most powerful plants for improving the health of the kidneys are nettle, as well as dandelion. And both of these plants actually, especially dandelion, if you had to pick one plant for your detox or healing journey or anything that would contribute to your overall health, if you had to choose one plant, I would say that most herbalists would agree on this. It would most likely be dandelion, especially in terms of detoxification. So you can use the whole entire plant, and it is essential for the health of the kidneys. It is an incredible diuretic, as well as dandelion root is hepatic. So it treats any kind of liver weakness or toxicity within the liver, as well as affecting positively the whole digestive system. For this formula, I would be choosing Dandelion Leaf. And as well with the nettle, I would be using the aerial portions. So the nettle leaf and dandelion leaf would be the main plants. Now, all plants to some degree have some diuretic properties, but especially dandelion and nettle are very well suited to the kidneys. So in dandelion and nettle, we also have incredible blood building. We have alterative effects, which an alterative in herbalism is indicating a plant that improves or shifts the overall health of a system, and specifically it's usually speaking to the circulatory system, although I do feel like alteratives also affect the lymphatic system. So it shifts the health in a positive way, or alters it, and that's where we get the word alterative. And we also have in nettle and dandelion not only blood building, we also have blood cleansing, and not only that, these two plants are offering extremely perfect nutrition in terms of, like, well, with nettle, it contains a full amino acid profile. So either of these two plants you could take on their own to improve your overall nutrition level and your capacity to absorb the nutrition. So they both contain bioavailable nutrients, which build the blood and nourish the blood, and therefore the entire body. So there we are with the main plants for the kidneys. And moving forward, what else are we seeing in the iris? We're seeing a lot of lymphatic congestion, right? So especially in the stomach and bowels area. And we're seeing that, you can see that in the color and the texture of the iris a lot. I would say chronic lymphatic congestion. So we're looking for plants with lymphatic cleansing properties, also known as lymphatics, in terms of herbalism and what you're looking at related to properties and actions. And so in astragalus, as well as calendula, we have very powerful but also gentle lymphatic cleansers. These are two of my favorite plants to take and also recommend for clearing congestion within the lymphatic system. They both also offer immune system boosting properties. And with the calendula, I wanted to show you in particular this example of how you may see the signature of the plant as it reflects in its outer appearance, what its medicine is, or what healing properties it contains. So calendula is, like I said, it is a very well-known lymphatic cleanser. It's gentle. You would be using the petals or the flowers of the calendula plant And I thought it was really interesting and really delightful for me to note this as someone who's looking at different plants that will heal certain features that you see as an iridologist. And I want to show you that we have in the pupillary margin here in the iris some possible malabsorption, but really what I'm seeing is the significant appearance, like I said, of chronic lymphatic congestion and also the radii solaris. So we see the congestion, and then we see the radii solaris, and actually they are especially concentrated in areas that are pointing to states of weakness within this iris. So we also see in the calendula flower the same type of pupillary margin, and you can see as well in the calendula that we have a likeness to the radii solaris. So what I am seeing with this plant is that it would be especially useful for not just lymphatic congestion, but the lymphatic congestion and associated inflammation and weakness, and just general state of dis-ease that is caused by lymphatic congestion within the stomach area, and how it sort of radiates or refers out to the rest of the body. And you can see that in the petals. They actually also look like rays of the sun, like the radii solaris. So this plant would be perfect for lymphatic congestion that is in and originating from and affecting other parts of. So originating from the center of the iris and then affecting the periphery of the iris, and reflecting that there is tension, dis-ease, or just lack of function in other areas of the body. So there we have calendula and astragalus, these two together. And astragalus, you can see, really does display some of the features of the lymphatic system. They both do, in that the petals are very soft, very soft, and almost like a silky, velvety texture. And with the astragalus, even the color of the flower is very much like the color of the lymphatic fluid. And both of these plants together are two of my favorite plants, especially when combined to address lymphatic congestion. So we also have this presence of nerve rings. So let's get to what we would recommend for nerve rings. But more importantly, what are nerve rings indicating to us? And that would be a usually chronic state of stress and anxiety and inability to relax, a nervous system that it just seems to be in hyperdrive. And as well, the adrenals absolutely in sort of a stuck in that fight or flight function. And so with the nerve rings, two plants that I think also go very well together and address stress within the nervous system. They are Nervine plants. They are tonics, so they're brain tonics, helping with memory and the ability to speak. So Nervine, brain tonic, and those two plants that we are going to be using for these purposes, also anti-anxiety, are going to be skullcap and gotu-kola. And you can see with these two plants, so there are several different signatures that you can notice in this formula. And two of the most significant ones, I think, are with the skullcap and the gotu-kola, related to the nervous system and the brain. So with gotu-kola, you have this leaf that is sitting atop, balanced atop a long stem that somewhat reminds me of the brainstem and the spinal cord. So the central nervous system is represented very well in the gotu-kola plant. It's similar in action to ginkgo, although I do feel like it has a more appropriate action, especially when combined with skullcap in revitalizing and regenerating, while at the same time calming the nervous system. So gotu-kola gives a sense of clear, calm, clarity, especially in the sense of the mind and brain and nervous system, complete, entire nerve tonic. So with skullcap, we have a perfect complement to gotu-kola in that skullcap, and you can see by the flower, which is rather representative of a human skull, and as well, not just the shape of the flower, but when you see the purple and violet and also the white color, and skullcap can range from blue to purple, violet, and also comes in white. But in terms of the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, which are representative of, in physical fashion, they are the crown and third eye chakras. And both of those centers they're at the top of the color spectrum in terms of frequency and also in energy. So they're the highest, they're the most spiritual, energetic centers or chakras. And so in this plant, we have the energetic frequency represented, as well as the physical in the shape of the skull. And skullcap is a well-known remedy for all kinds of anxiety, and more specifically, and that's why I have it in this formula, it really does help those who have what feels like to be a hyperactive adrenal gland syndrome. So if you are unable to relax or feel calm, if you have an exaggerated startle response from noises or, sudden movements or even bright lights, skullcap is a perfect plant for that. And so it really is a perfect plant to recommend for people who have nerve rings, and especially if someone has nerve rings accompanied with an adrenal weakness. And skullcap can be taken. This is a formula that you could take during the day, and it does have a nervine effect, as mentioned, and it is also hypnotic, and that being a quality that is represented through skullcap as well as rose and linden, but these are all lightly hypnotic and lightly sedative And I would say definitely just more relaxing. And so this definitely could be taken during the day. Okay, so something I'm noticing that I want to mention is that in this iris, we did see that we have some signs showing. So looking at the center of the iris and the pupillary margin and then extending out, there's a radii solaris that what would likely be, to me, indicating chronic pain in the neck and shoulder area. And we're also seeing possible signs of pain in the back area, and there is a possibility also of a weakness in that arm area, which could, because we're looking, when you look at areas in iridology that are bony or muscular structure, whereas, you know, there aren't necessarily organs there or glands there, and there are dark areas, a lot of times that's going to indicate that that person has experienced pain or is experiencing chronic pain. So this formula, being that it is anti-inflammatory and nervine, as well, coming along with the anti-inflammatory nervine, we also have this in this formula, it is antioxidant and anti-aging. And we're seeing the antioxidant, anti-aging qualities, as well as anti-inflammatory qualities coming from the plants in the rose family, as well as several of these plants. But we did note that when we were looking at cardiotonics, a lot of them also had properties, anti-inflammatory properties, and that will be a mild pain relieving quality that you'll see in this formula. So I wanted to mention that. And so the last two plants that we have on the chart are going to be used specifically for the pituitary gland. So, and which will have a cascading effect throughout the entire endocrine system. And so with the endocrine system, we have in nettle and in dandelion, we have effects. So like I said at the beginning of the video, nettle and dandelion both are standalone plants for detox and healing, in that they contain pretty much all of the properties you would want in a healing and nutritive. So they are restoring health and nutrition as well to the body, to the whole entire body on every level. They also contain properties that address the endocrine system. So we do have the endocrine system being addressed by nettle and dandelion, but I wanted to also include some powerful pituitary gland plants. And so what I like to do for the pituitary gland, and these two plants are used widely to address pituitary gland weakness. So they are pituitary gland tonics. And being that they are berries, so we have Vitox or chase tree berry. And again, this picture is of the flower before it turns into a berry, but it's really similar, and that's why I put it in the collage, was that it's purple and very similar to the skull cap, which is indicating to us another signature of this plant in its purple color is that it is showing us how beneficial it would be for the head and brain area. So we have Vitox Berry, and we also have saw palmetto. And I like to use these two berries together. I think that, well, especially with any kind of endocrine gland, any kind of berry, so even hawthorn berry is going to be contributing to this effect on the pituitary gland and all the glands. But berries in particular are very well suited and of a similar frequency to glands. So you'll see that berries are used quite a lot to address gland weakness. And in this case, and you can even see with the saw palmetto, it's really dark, 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 like a purpley black is what I would call that color. So, and that again would be looking at the frequency of the crown chakra. So in this formula, we have an all-around gentle detoxification effect, so mild cleansing while restoring nutrition and health, and essentially resetting the nervous system was one of my main goals in putting this formula together. So we are coming back to calm while we are providing a sense of happiness. So we have light antidepressant qualities, as well as a sense of energy, and at the same time not being in an anxious state of mind. So, and then we're also addressing the weakness that we can see in the heart, and we're also addressing the lymphatic congestion. And we're also very much addressing the health of the entire endocrine system, especially that of the pituitary, pineal, and as well the adrenal glands. And we're also restoring strength and balance to the entire central nervous system. So we're working on the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, and as well, we're working on the endocrine system and its connection to the nervous system, and especially as it's related to anxiety. And this is, you know, it is nutritive, it is detoxifying, it does address a lot of common problems that people have, and it's a safe formula that could be taken over time. So I would say that any number of people could take this formula. It would benefit anyone in terms of detox and healing, just in the way that these are all safe and very effective and lovely plants. So with this formula, I would recommend it be, and especially because this is what I've just been really into myself and also recommending, is a loose herb formula. And with this one in particular, it does contain fairly mild tasting plants and even some on the sweeter side. So it would be a good tasting infusion if you made it into an infusion, a cold or hot infusion. And that's how I would recommend it. But you could, as with any loose herbs, you can do your own tincturing, or you can grind the herbs up and cap them yourselves, which I also highly recommend. So I wanted to mention also, I'm going to put together this formula in terms of officially giving it measurements and parts, as they say in herbalism. And I will put that up on my website if you're interested in the ingredients. I'll put a link to that as well. And then I'll put, like I said, the proportions, so you would know how much of each plant you would use in the formula. And also, I did want to note that when you're creating a formula or a synergy of effects through the botanical kingdom, I personally like to include a variety of, be they trees or plants, flowers, roots. So with this formula, it does seem to be a little bit on the lighter side, which I think is quite appropriate for this iris. But I wanted to mention that in terms of what parts of the plants, the only root that is in this formula is the astragalus. And so with the astragalus, we would be using the root. And then with everything else, it's a very aerial formula. So we have the aerial portions or the leaves and flowers of the rest of the plants that would be used. And then we also have 3 different berries. So yeah, I would consider that balanced, and I think that's it. I will, like I said, I'll post the formula, and then if any more herbal properties or anything like that comes in, I will make note of that as well. So hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you soon. Bye.